What is going on, y'all? Robert Sykes, KetoSavage.com, KetoBodybuilding.com, and we are talking about week 17. Man, I was not prepared upon recording this. I think we're at week 17. Yes. Week 17 of the building phase, and then as far as the week of the reset, we are at, let's see here, reset week 6, I believe. So that's what we got going on now. There have been a few manipulations as far as training, cardio, weight, etc., etc. I actually woke up a little bit lighter yesterday, and then again down a little bit today. Today I was like 196 something. Yesterday I was at 195 something. So my weight is trending down from that 200-pound high that I hit a few weeks prior, and that is by design. That is with this whole reset that I've got going on here, basically trying to tighten things up a little bit, lose some excess body fat, and just kind of reestablish a new baseline for the context of the building phase. I definitely feel like my maintenance caloric intake is right around 3,000. And it's interesting because that at 3,000 calories, my weight pretty much holds stable. And that can be true, whether I'm at, 180 pounds, 190 pounds, 200 pounds. Like if I'm eating 3,000 calories, my weight's going to pretty much hold stable at that intake. So my weight's dropping a little bit now, and I've been consuming around 3,000 calories, but there's been the addition of one other variable, which is my activity. So I've got the 50-mile march coming up at the end of this month in August. So I've pretty much tried to commit to conditioning myself for that. So 50 miles is no small feat, and we are marching on the shoulder of a highway the whole time, which is a lot of wear and tear on your feet. From a conditioning standpoint, I never really had any issues there. My main thing is just simply putting more time under my feet. Like my feet are my missing link or my weak link in that whole regard. It's not my knees, it's not my hips, it's not my cardio capacity. It's just simply my feet do not like being brutalized for that long. So since the beginning of this month, beginning of August 1st, I've pretty much committed to hitting 20,000 steps a day in preparation for that march at the end of the month. And as such, my normal is like 5,000 steps a day. Like if I'm just going about my day-to-day, I'm typically getting in 5,000 steps. I take my watch off when I'm training, and I'm getting steps in then. So I'm probably around 6,000 or 7,000 steps a day, realistically. But with me taking my watch off, I'm trying to hit 20,000 steps a day up until that march. Maybe I have a few days prior to that march where I deload a little bit to allow myself full recovery. But with me averaging around 5,000 steps a day, I get home in the evening and I've got to make up 15,000 steps, which winds up being about 7 miles worth of walking. And I'm trying to average about a 19-minute mile pace, roughly. So all things encompassed, it winds up being about 2 hours and 20 minutes for me to do those 15,000 steps when I get home. So that's pretty much quadrupling what my average baseline step count was prior to the beginning of the month. So that, in tandem with everything else being held relatively constant, is why my weight is starting to trend down. So that's good. And I'll continue that probably at least through the first 20 days of this month. So I anticipate being probably around 190 pounds by the actual march itself, which will be about 10 pounds down from my heaviest at 200 pounds. I am trying to stay on top of all my weight training during that time, but allocating an extra 2 hours and 20 minutes just to walking a day is certainly taking away from my already very busy schedule. So I can anticipate my workouts suffering a little bit. But the goal for me right now is not necessarily to be building more strength during this month. It's mostly just to be preserving what I've got and prioritizing the conditioning of my feet for this march, so I'm not out of commission after the march. So that's the plan there. From a dietary standpoint, I'm continuing to go through my phase 1 and 2 protocol with this reset. So I will continue to be increasing the protein gradually while simultaneously dropping the fat. Last week, I was hitting about 165 grams of protein and about 250 grams of fat. This week, I'll likely be at about 240 grams of fat and about 170 grams of protein. So that's kind of the rough targets I'm targeting there. Looking at my chart here in Chronometer, you can see everything certainly trending down from a calorie standpoint. That trend will continue, and it's just much more consistent now too. So barring that peak while in Brazil, it's just much more even keel day to day, which is good. Having your foods consistent is truly a game-changing factor. And for me, whenever I'm really trying to get my macros dialed in, I eat the same thing just to keep things consistent. So my consumption has been a consistent coffee with heavy cream in the morning, 2 coffees throughout the day, both of which with heavy cream. I am getting at least one of those from a coffee shop, so I'm not measuring out that cream. That's a variable there, but it's a consistent variable. And then I'm having a brick in the morning, usually after I train, and then my second and final meal is typically about a pound of meat, usually beef, and 6, 7, 8 eggs, depending on what brick I had, how much cream I had, kind of whatever the macros need to be to work out so that I can kind of manipulate that egg count accordingly. And that's been my intake. I've had some pickles, so I've had some more sodium and electrolytes in general with me walking more in preparation for that march, but that's been the variables there. I don't know if you can see it in these pictures, but I can certainly tell a difference when I'm in the mirror, but I'm going to throw some pictures up right now that were taken this week. I feel like I am certainly tightening up a little bit with just marching these past few days and being down 5 pounds. So I'm kind of curious to see what this will look like in 20 days time by the end of the month with this consistent, additional 4x output and daily step count. So there is that. But this is something I feel really passionate about. I've done this march. This will be my 4th year now. We're doing it to raise money for veterans. We marched through the night from 3 p.m. on Saturday until 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. on Sunday. It is freaking brutal. My feet are wrecked by the end of it, but the 22 hours represents the 22 veterans that take their lives daily. So it's a topic and a cause that I feel very strongly about. Last year we raised over $500,000, and it all went back to the veterans. So very, very excited about it, very passionate about it. I feel like this is a cause that is worth my suffering for sure. So I will train. I will continue to put in the work necessary to put in the consistent efforts that I can perform on March Day and do what needs to be done. So that's what we got going on. That's the priority for this month, and that's kind of an update for the week. So appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we will see you next time.